Hey guys, and welcome to the channel. And today we're going to be talking about malting tea. So guys, today we are here with the guys from French and Jupps, and we're going to be talking about malting tea. It's a very interesting process, something that you can do at home, but let's get into it. So, hey guys, thanks for letting us come to your awesome facility. Please introduce yourselves.
Great. My name is Paul King. I'm the Managing Director of French and Jupps.
Hello, I'm Ian Bennett. I'm Senior Engineer, Maintenance Engineer at French and Jupps.
I'm James Marinos, and I work on the marketing and sales side of the company.
All right, great. So we've got quite an interesting little process, and this is something that you guys do in your labs. What is it for?
So we taste malt teas every week. So we get a group of employees together, and what we're really trying to do is just understand the character of our malts, but also the consistency week in, week out.
Okay, all right.
We pay a lot of attention to this.
And this is going to give you, obviously, your flavors, your flavor profiles that you're looking for. And is it a lot to do with the color as well? Or are you going to be testing?
Yes, I mean, historically, roasted malt specialists have really focused on color, but it's becoming, I guess, more interesting and more important to really home in on the flavor.
On the flavor, yeah.
Yeah.
And you should be able to pick up certain flavors on this and be able to almost relate to the beer that you're going to be making.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, brewers also will start to layer these malts and really build some lovely complexity. Okay. What we're looking at doing here is looking at the individual malts and really understanding well the flavor makeup of those malts.
Yeah. And the malts that you guys are going to be, that we're looking at here today, we've obviously got some crystals and some darker malts. What are we looking at here currently?
So we've got a range of 4 malts here. So we start with our lightest crystal. This is a Cara Malt.
Okay.
Then we work through to a darker crystal. And then the third malt in there would be amber malt. And swiftly moving into the most powerful malt that we make, a black malt.
The black malt, all right. And these are, again, testing flavors, testing colors. Silly question, are you able to almost do like a little pre-blend? If you were going to go, I want to be using some caramels and I'm also going to want to put some dark malt in, could you kind of mix them up?
I think that would be fascinating. It's something we don't do here actually, but really I think in the hands of a brewer, I think that's where the fun starts.
Yeah, so you could almost go, and obviously this is going to be done on a lot smaller scale. Would you then be kind of taking these amounts that you're going to be playing around with and then upscaling that and trying to get it into
Absolutely. And maybe the brewer could bring in some pale malts to really understand what is the character of that beer going to really look like. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think let's get into kind of the process of what you're doing and to actually create the teas. So how do we start,
So what we do is we take 50 grams of a malt, so 50 gram sample, and we would grind that into a coarse flour.
Okay.
And then combine that with water at 65 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
And shake it for about 20 seconds.
All right.
And then after shaking, we'll let it stand. And then after a short while, we would then filter through one of the filters that you can see here, and end up with a lovely sample, rich sample like this.
All right. And these sort of filters, are you looking at, is it just a coffee filter or is this a specific filter?
Yeah, and we would encourage some of the smaller brewers out there to replicate this, and they may not have the type of mill that we have in our laboratory, but use a coffee grinder. Okay. And then perhaps use a cafetiere and plunge it, and then end up with a sweet wort-like solution. And then you can taste and evaluate it.
All right. No, that sounds like, it's quite an interesting process. And again, this is something that you guys are using at I'm going to call it a high level, but this is something that anybody can do at home using basic equipment that you've got probably in your kitchen already. And just playing around. Yeah,
we really encourage brewers to really look deeply at the malts they're using and understand, why am I using certain types of malts? And along with the lovely array of hops that they use as well.
Yeah.
I mean, malt tea is possibly new to some, but hop tea is not. I think many brewers are familiar with the term hop tea, but I would encourage brewers to look at hop teas and importantly malt teas.
I know we were discussing a while back as well that it's all a marriage of everything coming together.
Yes.
And this is just one element of beer. It's water, it's malt, it's hops, it's yeast, everything kind of blending together in a harmony that's going to just give you that great beer at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeast, as we all know, is the spirit of a beer.
Yeah.
And then the hops, the spice, and the malt, the soul.
Yeah. So this is we're not extracting souls here, people. We just, but this is to be able to sample some of the soul of a beer.
Absolutely, it is.
Should we get into the most exciting part, and I think is the actual tasting part of it?
I think so. I think we should.
Yeah.
So let's just take a medium crystal here, and what we would do typically, just pour into the glass, and then when you're evaluating it, just like you when you evaluate a beer, just rotate that glass in your hand.
Okay.
And just build a delicate film up on the side of the glass. And then what that allows you to do, it releases some of the lovely aromatics of the malt, and you're able to really pick up on all those wonderful rich notes that you'll find in.
Yeah, I can see those
malt.
And that's obviously kind of almost the sugars that you
exactly
going to get on the sides there. Yeah, okay.
So then, just like with a beer, you'd evaluate the aroma, and then you'd then taste.
Yeah.
And this is something we do every week with our broad team, and have fun doing it.
All right, yeah. So what are we doing next?
Well, I think you should taste it.
Let's give it a taste. So I'm kind of rotate that glass. And here you set up, you're just kind of looking at the colors and how it's coating the glass.
You can see the nice film, the color, the
the
delicate golden color there.
And you said this is also helping the aeration side of things as well.
Yeah, so then you'll release some of the aromatics from the...
like kind of swirling around a whiskey.
You can swirl it too and enjoy it.
Like a real, I'm going to say, treacle, dark toffee smell on that.
And that's what we find as we progress through our crystal range. From a Cara Malt, a very light crystal malt, you see some very delicate honey notes and very light sugar notes.
Yeah.
Once you progress into the kind of stronger crystals, that exactly as you've called out, that those treacle notes start to come to the front.
Yeah. There's a toffee that back home that we used to have, and it was Wilson's toffee, and it smells exactly
it's
like
in a glass.
It's Wilson's toffee in a glass.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, a lot. Like when you taste it, it's not as strong as the aroma that I was thinking.
Yes.
But you are getting subtle notes, but you can taste more of that burnt toast kind of direction on that.
Yes, there is some breakfast toast notes, and then sometimes some very fresh bread crust. Very pleasant.
That's probably a better description, is that bread crust. Yeah.
But once you get into our darker crystal, we don't have one here, but you get to the darker crystal end, suddenly you're getting very rich caramel treacle notes, and backed up with roast coffee as well. So very complex.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this inside a stout or a porter, those sort of things could give you, those certain little subtle tastes and nuances that you're looking for. Definitely.
Absolutely.
All right. Anybody else wanting to? Well, have you done this morning already?
But it's also useful for as quality control from the production side of the
Of course,
from my point of view.
Yeah.
Picking up off notes.
Yeah.
You've got problems with the machinery.
Yeah. And I mean, you're doing this per batch, so you're going to be knowing, okay, that's the batch, and this is my tea that I made for that batch, and obviously then you can determine, we need to do something different to that, or is it?
So we do it weekly.
Yeah.
So Karen will pick out samples of what we're going to go for that week. So
Okay.
the orders that are going out that week,
Okay.
we'll get a tasting done
Okay.
on to make sure that the quality.
Make sure that everything is hunky dory before it leaves the door.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. No. And then are you pulling that off of obviously a different batch every week. Coming straight out of the kilns or out of the roasters and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we're, like you said, perfect way to make sure that the guys know what they're doing at the roasting houses.
That's it. Absolutely. Burners, all sorts of things are functioning correctly, not
All right.
contaminating the malt. Really.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah. And off flavours.
Should we try some more? This is
Yeah,
very
Absolutely, yes.
How about the black malt?
black malt. Okay.
Yeah.
Dive in on the black malt.
Okay. Should we?
Be able to edit out because we need to get some more glassware. I think.
Yeah, we're gonna need to get.
Yes.
So sorry guys, we had a quick interlude to go get some more glasses, but we're gonna go on to the black malt.
Black malt,
Okay.
Our most powerful malt.
Yeah.
So here is something very special, very unique.
Yeah.
Very Marmite tasting session.
Sure. You can definitely that dark color is quite a lot darker than the first one I tried. Sorry, what was the first malt that I was giving a go there?
That was a medium crystal,
Okay.
so a mid-range crystal.
Okay. Right.
Yes.
So this is the black malt, and I
So
know
you've
this
gone
is
to the other end of the spectrum here completely. And
the process to making black malt to crystal malted. I know it is a different process down the line. Does that obviously affect the flavors?
yes, we're going to different temperatures, different times,
Yeah.
and crystal malt is a very, very different type of malt to a straight black malt.
Okay.
Little sweetness here.
Yes, much less sugar involved in the black malt. And less germination time, so we're getting less modification of the starch to sugar.
Okay. And Ian, the actual process, I know we were in the germination side, and the germination, basically the malts from the germination are becoming crystal. At what step are we taking it to the black malt?
So generally 2 days steep.
Okay.
So we just get a very small chip.
Okay.
We then goes to the kiln to halt the germination.
Okay.
To get a storable product, come down to 12-15%. Get
Alright.
a storable product ready for roasting,
Okay.
and then that will then get roasted.
That goes straight into, and this is what we're getting over here.
Yeah.
So
Now you can smell it's a lot less sweet.
the temperatures are higher involved, so we were up to over 220 Celsius.
To be honest, with a bit of milk in this, that's a coffee.
It's a very strong coffee, isn't it? It's a lovely, lovely, rich espresso coffee. We often describe it as, lovely barbecue coals as well.
Give it a whirl there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So roast coffee, barbecue coals, some smokiness, but surprisingly incredible drinkability as well.
Yeah, I could.
Not overly harsh.
Yeah,
Very, very pleasant.
I think if you, like I said, with a bit of, I like my coffee with milk, but a bitter, kind of more bitter coming.
But a pleasant bitterness.
Yeah, it's not too astringent that you're going, oh, no, I can't have that.
Not at all.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Used for a sex coffee.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I know
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
in some parts of the world, I know that actually a black malt is sometimes used as a coffee substitute.
Okay. All right.
At least in Italy, I know that much.
Okay.
But for me, black malt really represents one of the range of our malts that's just so closely associated with just some very speciality porters.
Yes.
In particular, it's just so identifiable just from tasting it and the profile just as it is here.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely you're going to get the color at the end of the day with the with the porters and the stouts and stuff like that. But the flavor, it definitely it's going to add to that little bit of that coffee roasty flavor that's in those sort of beers as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, should we try the last one that we got on tea,
Yes.
which is the
Cara.
Cara.
Wrong way around.
Now,
So we're jumping around a bit, but let's.
to be honest, the jumping around, but I'm coating
quite
my tongue with
interesting.
I'm coating my tongue with some interesting flavors right now.
You'll certainly notice a profound difference between the black malt and the Cara malt. This one being one of the least sweet, whereas the Cara being
Cara malt.
right up the other end.
Yeah, the caramel. Now you say this is Cara malt. It's not crystal, or is it a similar process?
Similar process for less roasting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Light in colour. Yes.
It's like baking.
Okay.
The longer you cook it, the more caramelization takes place. The more
It's one of our
colour you-
lightest crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Very. Yeah.
smell the sugars.
We often describe a little bit of honey there.
Yeah, that's what I was
very
going to say.
pleasant
I think I
floral
reckon
honey notes.
a hint of honey.
Maybe some raisins, nice dried fruits. Again, quite complex.
Yeah, definitely when you taste it, I'm very surprised at the difference between the aroma and the taste. Because you smell it and it just kicks you in the face.
Yes.
And when you taste it, it's a lot more subtle, but then you can start picking up different little tastes, like that floral notes and stuff, and then you can start slightly, okay, there's that floral, but which I smelt a lot more sweetness than what I'm tasting, kind of thing.
It's a very good comment. It's really very delicate at this end of the scale, the light crystal. Once you go into the dark crystals, that taste really jumps out at that point. So it's very different.
This is, I'd say, closer to that Horlicks maltiness. I think I'm getting a lot more of that, those sort of closer to almost a base malt flavors or spray malt sort of taste in that, but obviously sweeter, a little bit more roasty, that sort of thing. That's actually quite nice. I'd drink that. You want to give that one a go?
Yeah, so.
This is. I think it's a very fascinating process, and I think, somebody at home wanting to play around, wanting to experiment with those flavors and the malts and what I'm going to get at the end of the day. This is a great process and very easy. It's not something that you need massive amounts of equipment, or you need a kettle, you need a couple of filters, carafe, like you said.
Yes.
And away you go. You're tasting all these great malts.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
I think thanks, guys. Guys, if you're wanting to do this at home, simple process, highly recommended. The guys at French and Jupps, this is a process they use, and this is an easy process for you to do at home, and you'll actually be quite surprised in what you're going to get at the end. So give it a go. Malt tea, and you might even be drinking this on the sideline with coffee and a biscuit, if you ask me. So that, guys, thanks for watching, and as always, keep brewing. Thank you. That's it.